Let's talk about loops in JavaScript today. One of the nice things about computers is that they don't mind doing the same thing over and over and over again. And when they do something repeatedly, in computer terms, we call that performing a loop. So let's get ready to do some programming with loops right now. So find some folder somewhere and create a file. I'll call mine loops.html. And then I'll do this little exclamation point to pre-fill out some HTML. All right, so now I want to talk about one type of loop, which is called the while loop. And it has syntax that generically looks like this. It says while, and then we'll have some condition. And then we'll put some curly braces, and in here we say do something. So this is the generic setup, and you could do something like tell a computer to say hello world out to a web browser for infinity, and it'll do that. Let me give you an example of something that you should never, ever, ever, ever do. Okay, this is not JavaScript yet, so let's give it some tags. Just kind of demonstrate this idea. So, all right, actually I'm going to comment this out first, and I'll just say something like console.log, and then we'll say hello, spelling is rough today, hello world, and I'll hit save. It's reformat a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to launch this now with live server, and a web page comes up, and I'm going to bring over that window, and I will right click here, I'll say inspect, and then I will click on console, and you can see that it wrote a message out to the JavaScript console. Okay, good enough. All right, but what if I change this to, actually I'll move this over here, I'll put it in my while loop. So because this is not a variable right here, this is just a literal value that evaluates to true, this is never going to stop running. It's just going to say do this forever. All right, so let's kind of get things started here. I'll go ahead and do save, move it out of the way, and you see it's counting up quickly. And then I'm going to try and, I'm just going to close this browser, and hopefully it's not responding. Stop, stop, stop. And that is why we never ever do this, because then you can't get it to stop. So let's do like a little force quit here and say goodbye, Google Chrome. Let's try this again. Goodbye, Google. All right, there we go. Yes. All right, good enough. All right, so that is a very bad thing to do. Do it on your roommate's computer or your spouse's computer or whatever, but don't do it on your computer. Well, I just wanted to demonstrate the fact that they'll do these things over and over again, computers will, and they don't care. Okay, let's do something that's a little bit more practical in terms of examples that use a loop of type while. If you've ever eaten at one of those Brazilian restaurants, they have these buffets where they'll bring you food until you can't eat anymore. These are meat buffets. And you have to have some signal for them to say either bring me more food or stop bringing me more food. And in one of the ones that's close to my house here, they have one where there's a little totem on the table, and you turn it over, and on one side it's red and the other side it's green. So let's kind of implement that type of idea for a Brazilian barbecue restaurant using a while loop. So here we go. First, I'm going to set up a variable, and I'm going to say let b be green light equals true. That means we want them to bring us food. And we'll say while that light is green, or that totem is green, we want to have them continue to offer us food. So I'll say be green light. And do you know what the command is to do a little pop-up box that returns true or false with a question? It's not alert. It's not prompt. It's confirm. So we do confirm, and then we say, would you like more meat? Question mark. Save. All right, and let's go ahead and launch something. So we'll wait for Chrome to come back after being unceremoniously destroyed. We'll say, no, we don't want to do that. It's, oh, would you like more meat? Okay, I don't know what meat is, but it's supposed to be meat. If I say okay, it keeps on going and asking me that. But the second that I say cancel, it stops. Because every time I hit OK, it returns true here. And as it goes to the end, it comes back up and it says, is this variable true? Yes, it is. Keep going. As soon as I hit the other option, cancel, it sets this equal to false. And so then this comes and it says false, and it's not going to run it anymore. Okay. So let's look at this a little bit differently here. And again, just a different way to use while loops. Instead of just having some arbitrary time when we decide yes or no, we could predefine when we want them to stop coming by. We could say, so let's just ask the question, how many times can they visit your table as a typical eater? Could you have them visit you 20 times, 50 times, 5 times? Let's just say ahead of time you decided that the maximum number of visits that you could support and still walk out of there without throwing up is 10. And then what we'll do is we'll have our while loop count up to 10 and evaluate if we've had 10 visits, and if so, we'll jump out. So I'll say first, integer visits. We'll say this is equal to 0. And we'll say while I visits is less than or equal to 10, which is our maximum number here, then we're going to say, I'm going to write this out to the console. I'll say console.log, and then I'll do here is food visit number, and then I will write out the number of visits, which is I visits. And then every time this happens, I'm going to count up 1. So I'll say I visits as a variable. Whoops. I visits equal I visits, integer visits plus 1. Okay, so I've hit save, and let's see if I can find my web browser. I'll bring it over here, right click, inspect, console. There we go. It did it just like we had hoped it would do. So by evaluating a condition that returns true or false, we can make this go through a certain number of times. There's an alternate way we could do this, which is the do while loop. So we could say do, and then have it go through this, and then we'll put our while condition right there. Okay, and with this, you have to put a little semicolon at the end. All right, let's just see if that looks any different. Nope, comes out exactly the same. The difference between a while loop and a do while loop is that the do while loop starts off and it doesn't have any condition. And so it means you're going to do something in here at least one time before it checks whether it should keep on doing it. The other way I just showed you, where it was the while loop, it's going to evaluate the condition right at the top, while, and then something in parentheses. And right as you enter into it, if the condition does not hold, maybe I could have started this at, I don't know. Remember, I'm not supposed to go back past 10. If I do this with a do while loop, it's going to do it once. See, notice how it gave me at least one trip through this function. But if I undo this a little bit, let's watch what happens. Okay. Now, what if I start off at 10 and I hit save? If I do that, Actually, let me make it 11. Okay, so if I make it 11, what happens is it's already at 11. That doesn't meet this condition, so it never drops into there. So at a high level, while loops and do while loops allow you to do things over and over again as long as some condition results in returning a true or a false. Or, as I broke things in the beginning, you could just set it to true eternally and then it'll crash your computer. All right, another type of loop that's really important is the for loop, and so we'll cover that one next.